Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Words with JuJu. This is the show where I say a lot of words and you get to listen to me. Now, these words today are about creative engineering's most mysterious show. I'm not talking about the Confederate critters, I'm not talking about the moon rockers. I am not talking about the Wizard of Oz. I am talking about the EEE show. What is that, JuJu? Well, I'm about to tell you. Well, it was 2017, and just the year prior, I took my first tour of creative engineering. And I spent my days researching Electronimation, all the history, all the characters, the inventions that went into it, all the people. And I wanted to learn everything I could. But there was this one character named Reginald J. Flutesnoot. It was this big green lizard, or dragon, that stood by the elevator shaft in creative engineering. And he stood out to me because, he looks cool. He's got a cool design. He's mysterious. So I would draw him in school, and, during art class, I sculpted a figurine of him that I actually ended up sending to Aaron.
Okay. That says, "Hi, Aaron. As you probably know, I'm a big fan of yours, and I decided to make you a clay figure of Reginald J. Flutesnoot because I think he has a really cool design." Yes, on my channel, Josterfield, you can see my progress of my homemade showbiz pizza. It's from the Electronimation Extravaganza of Excellence, the EEE. See, it's going to be beautiful. It is beautiful, and I just have to put it. Yeah, it's very beautiful, and I just have to put it back together. Let's give Jack a great big round of applause from that wonderful present.
Did good.
Did good.
But who is this dragon? Who does he work for? Why is he green? Well, after some extensive research, I feel I finally have some answers. In a few old tour videos, we got a few hints from Aaron on who this character is.
A fire-breathing dragon that was going to be in a show that I was designing that would be the Extravaganza of Electronimation Excellence, the EEE. And it was a show about energy.
Yeah.
And because Reginald J. Flutesnoot can breathe fire, we were going to discover a new kind of energy inside of Reginald J. Flutesnoot that was going to power the universe.
Okay, so now we know he was a part of a show called the Extravaganza of Electronimation Excellence, otherwise known as the EEE show, which is easier to say. And the show was about energy. Energy was a reoccurring theme in a lot of Aaron's work. In his characters, his shows, from Smitty's to the Moon Rockers, there would be references to energy and all of that.
What with the gas situation the way it is and all, we've had to stop selling gasoline altogether. Once it got past 25 cents a gallon, I didn't have no more friends what could afford it nohow.
And that's because he was very interested in finding a new energy source to run the world on and help solve the American energy crisis. He started creative engineering by building the Utah, which was the fuel-efficient car it was said to run 90 miles to the gallon. And then he got sidetracked into animatronics. Early on, I was able to find a post on Retro Pizza Zone. This was years back, and somebody pulled up an image of a bear, and they call it Shrek Bear, and they say it was a part of the EEE show, but I can't be too sure about that. But I thought I'd include it here just in case. Okay, great. So a fire-breathing dragon in a show about energy called the EEE show that may or may not have had a bear. Perfect. Any questions? We're just getting started. A document that was sent to me by a fellow fan shows that creative engineering began to work on the EEE show as early as October 1981, October 3rd actually. It shows work for creative engineering at the time was split between IAAPA, building improvement, replacement parts, the EEE, and showbiz, which had just opened about a year prior. Needless to say, this was a very busy time for creative engineering when they were taking on their biggest projects and going through one of their biggest expansions. It was at this time they were preparing to move from the Jefferson building over to the Michigan plant, which was a much more spacious environment to work in, about 10 minutes down the road from 47 West Jefferson Street. The name on the document is Ray Klitcher, more well known as Ray the Giant. He worked in the props and painting department, and he was a friend of S. Effectors, a teacher, I believe. And he became the supervisor of his department in only a few weeks. This seems to imply to me that Ray would have been the guy who painted the character Reginald. For a while, I was really hard-pressed to find any new information on the show, but a big breakthrough came in when Tabitha Griffin sent me this newspaper article dated 1981. The greatest source of energy is still waiting for us to tap it, the sun. Creative Engineering started off to be an energy-related company interested in putting the Arabs out of business. When the show is paid for, Effector said, he'll look for the future, the home computer market. We would like to pioneer and invest large amount of money into pioneering a central organized network and tying home computers together. What that means is a lot of people are buying computers but not knowing what to do with them. What we want you to do is type in water heater and get up a list of who can sell you one, repair one, along with a better business report or a consumer's report. That's the beginning of utopia, a perfect communication. That means everyone has access to a massive database of information. If you're looking to buy a home, why should you call a realtor? Describe your house in a computer and it will come up, Effector said. Outlandish? So was the idea of television in 1922. Effector predicts that the labor force will switch to a 4-day work week, then to a 3-day work week with 6-hour days. People need more time to spend studying the arts and doing volunteer work. We should eliminate the hassle of routine jobs. Very carefully, we should introduce robots to help man do his work. That needs to be done by the right people who really want to help labor, Effector said. The development of the industrial robot, when used in the right way, will give man freedom that he needs. The wonderful part about it is when robots become moral slave to man, there is no reason for man to enslave men. There is no necessity in holding human beings in a country that don't want to be there. The Great Wall of China will come down, Effector said. He pauses, waiting for a reaction, searching a listener's eyes for belief. Really, the extravaganza is a prediction of that utopia. I don't mean everybody's going to be happy all the time, but it's a very, very optimistic, idealist feeling. I am practically living for the day when utopia will come. So there's a lot to take in here, but this sums up Effector's mindset in 1981 pretty well, I think. At this point, he already dreamed up the beginnings of what would become the AGFM, the Anti-Gravity Freedom Machine, which he had programmed from scratch to be able to send electronic mail to other AGFM owners and to create programs with his own software. This was beat out when home computers and email took over and became accessible. Aaron also further expresses hope to continue his energy research and to help the world become more fuel efficient and lower the cost of living and give the working man some free time in tandem with his new computer system. And then it goes on to explain the show. 9 stages. Okay, so we have a 9-stage show. Oh, rotating stages. A 9-stage rotating extravaganza that shows the good guy dragon, Reginald A. Flute Snoot. In the end, he pounds the bad guys, who are the ones splitting the atoms to get energy. Reginald is in favor of converting laughter, giggled into a giant ear, for electricity. The idea is to tell a joke, light a city. We're going to be putting down nuclear energy because we're very against it. And then the next sentence cuts off. Okay, so rotating stages. That is something I've heard of before. And this was 1981. Showbiz had just came out the year before. So research and development, that would have been a nightmare for them compared with all their other projects going on. The way this is worded in particular leads me to believe that the 9 stages show off the show like a storybook, and every single stage is a different part of the story, until you get to the last stage with Reginald pounding the bad guys who split atoms. I can't believe it didn't take off. Looking for further information, I found this copy of Creative Engineering's monthly newsletter, The Loudmouth, Volume 1, Number 6, dated October 1981, just around the same time as the schedule. It reads, Kansas City bound. This year, the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions will hold its convention in Kansas City, Missouri, from November 19th to 22nd at Bartle Hall. We will attend with the model of the extravaganza of Electronimation excellence and a beautiful display designed by Jim Clayton. The dragon from the EEE show and a new, more versatile gorilla will tell and show viewers all about us in Electronimation. This proves by November of 1981, just 2 months after, Reginald was ready to be premiered at the IAAPA over in Kansas City to show off alongside a model of what the show would look like. And he was also next to Tusk, the gorilla. Creative would do this in the speculation that somebody would come along and buy the idea and pay to have the show produced, but unfortunately that didn't happen for Reginald in the EEE, and production had stopped. This also appears to show that Jim Clayton was one of the main designers of the show, though the way it's worded I can't be sure. Well, we got all this information on the show, but I still wasn't satisfied, you know? What did the model look like? What did Reginald sound like? What did the ear look like? We don't know any of these things. It's still a mystery. So I went to my friend Billy Bob. That's 3 B's, 2 L's, an I, a Y, and an O. And he was one of Creative Engineering's first employees. He went over to Creative from Magic World in 1977 following the installation of Friendly Freddy in the big tree stump before the Confederate Critter Show. To keep it short, Billy Bob had a hand in almost everything from the beginning, and he had a major influence and an impact over the characters we know today.
You're talking about that specialty show we were talking about, I'm trying to remember. I know we had 3 rotating stages, and each of them was divided into 3, so there's 9 set up, but different combinations. But I really, besides the breathing dragon, fire-breathing dragon with scarves and everything I created, I don't know exactly what the storyline was, but we had tree. It was just extravaganza, is what we called it, and it was just wild. It was just a wild show.
I recall the storyline being about energy, and the fire-breathing dragon breathed carbon-friendly smoke or something.
Okay, that's probably our next deal. Is that we, instead of using scarves and everything, blew out scarves, we probably put up a mister or something in there to do that. But yeah. I can't remember all that. But we never did build one. We just had. But we had a dragon. We did have a life-size dragon, and we took him to a convention. He said, "Sing that song, baby, light my fire," or something. And at the very end, light my fire. He'd shoot that fire, real, scarf fire, scarves and everything. And that was a hit. I don't think we ever.
Now we have some confirmation that each stage was meant to be in 3 sections and show one at a time whenever it rotates. And we also have confirmation that Reginald blew smoke out of his nose, or mist, or scarves, or there's been a lot of different theories of how that works from Aaron, from Billy Bob, from fans. I believe it was something like dry ice. Though the answer is a little disappointing, we now know that Reginald sang Duke's recording of Light My Fire and would blow smoke out of his nose whenever he would hit the high notes in the end and say, "Fire!" And we knew this for a while too. Aaron confirmed it a few years ago, but this is just further confirmation on that. So that leaves us with one major question. What did the stage look like? Well, when visiting Billy Bob, I was lucky enough to stumble upon this. This is our first look at the EEE show in all its glory. Pictured here, you have Reginald with Sam I Am on an old hand car stopped on a railroad track with a sign that reads El Stopo, which probably means stop in Spanish. Surrounding the pushcart is talking trees, one with a sign that appears to say, "Welcome to the stupid forest." Go figure, he spelled stupid wrong. And there's another tree with a sign I just can't read with the picture quality. But also featured are some flowers, a rock, and some foliage, all with eyes and faces. Being that Reginald was around 7 feet tall, this stage would have been massive, especially considering this stage was built to rotate and show 2 more sides. Unfortunately, this is the only photo of the model that I could find. And we may never know what the big ear looked like, or what would come of the Shrek Bear and all his atom smashers. However, to this day, Fector still has the model of Flute Snoot in his own personal collection. I also discovered this photo from 1981 of Reginald at the IAAPA Expo in Kansas City, standing next to the singing flowers that would go to the Wizard of Oz show. In the background, you can see some Rockfire production line photos. Very cool. Well, I'm out of words for this show, which also means I'm exactly where I started. Well, this is JuJu B Magumbo signing out. Stay tuned for next time when I've got more words for you. And good night, America.